Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise for a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is convened in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey. Let the official minutes reflect that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by publishing a notice in the Asbury Park Press on Friday, January 8th, 2021, the Press of Atlantic City, and the Star Ledger, and also forwarded to the Toms River Times, Toms River Patch, and WOBM News on Wednesday, January 6th, 2021, and thereafter posting same on the Town Hall Bulletin Board for such notices and filing same with the Township Clerk pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Township Council on Tuesday, January 5th, 2021. The meeting dates have also been posted on the Township webpage. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Urick.
Here.
Councilman Kopp.
Here.
Councilman Lotano.
Here.
Councilman Roderick.
Here.
Councilman Turnbach.
Here.
Council Vice President Maruka.
I move for an excused absence for Councilwoman Maruka.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Council President Gagan.
Here.
First item on the agenda is we have the minutes from July 13th, 2021 regular meeting.
Move the minutes.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Turnbach, seconded by Councilwoman Urick. Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Councilwoman Urick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Maruka is absent. Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Tonight, for our honoring resolutions and presentations, we have the retirement of Donna Seaver from our municipal court, the retirement of Bernie Mackel from our zoning department, and we will be just touching upon Phil Brilliant for 10 years as president of Congregation B'nai Israel, Normandy Beach Yacht Club's 75th anniversary, and Toms River Yacht Club's 150th anniversary, and the dedication of Siebert Sailing Center.
Move the honoring resolutions and presentations.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Turnbach, seconded by Councilwoman Urick. Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Councilwoman Urick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Maruka is absent, and Council President Gagan.
Yes. Okay. Councilor, if you will. Well, congratulations on retirement. Many years ago, working midnights with you. Phil and I were working from it at the time. You served us well, and congratulations on making it this far.
Thank you. Tonight, it's a special night. We're honoring about 70 years of service to the township here, 36 with Donna and 35 with Bernie. Bernie, you can't leave town now. Nobody knows where the zoning stuff is without you. And Donna's done a great job through the pandemic. As you all know, the jury and the trials have been virtual, so it's been a challenge. Both trying to manage that court system. She's done a wonderful job. And we have a clock, which when you retire, you don't need to tell time, but we've got a clock for you. Present that to you. You want to bring your family up and get a picture? You want to come on up? Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. It's been my privilege. Thank you, everybody.
Bernie's the only one that knows how to use the micro fish machine. And so he's been training people. He's done a great job over these 35-plus years that he's been here at Town Hall, and we're going to miss him. And like I said, he can't move out of town because with him goes the corporate knowledge of the zoning department. So Bernie, I'm going to present you with your retirement clock. Thank you. Why don't you bring your...
Fortunate, if I could, Mr. President, joined by my family today, my wife Liz, my daughter Shauna, Liam, my son, and also I've got a number of my sisters are here. My youngest brother Pierce is here. Reed, Mary, we all grew up here, just a couple blocks away, and they came with their brother-in-laws, but that have come some distance. But anyway. It's really been a pleasure for me to, to be a part of this community. I think we're all lucky to live here, but for me, I found exceptionally fortunate because I got to work here. I grew up, like I said, a couple blocks away. We went to the local schools. The kids went through the school system. We're all should consider ourselves fortunate for being with, sharing in the lifestyle of a great community. If I could, if you'll allow me, Mr. President, for a minute, I realized coming in this room some time ago that I've been here for far too long. The people that hired me are all the way, they start with the man all the way at the end of the room. They're jumping. As a matter of fact, it starts here with Tom, God rest his soul, Tom Rankin. And as a kid, if I could, again, as a kid, I was part of forced child labor, stuffing envelopes for that woman who was the only mayor. So that gives you an idea just how long I've been here. But anyway, this really makes, I'd like to say for Donna, she reminds me of all that means to work with the people here, because the people in these departments, they really work together, and it's people like Donna and the others, all the people that work here work as a team, and they all make a difference. So I want to say thank you again, and thank you for your time, and thank you, honey, for coming.
Thank you. You are like.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Seems we skipped 3.
They were previously given as.
C, D, and E?
Correct, yes. CD and E were previously given out, but we wanted to give them mention at the meeting. Thank you. Okay, we can begin. Item 7.
Item 7, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 234, Cannabis Regulation of the Township Code to establish an expiration date for the general prohibition against the operation of cannabis establishments, distributors, and delivery services in the township. This is a final reading.
Okay, this is final reading. Does any member of the public wish to be? Okay, Ms. Singer, just if you would, step up to the mic, state your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Lori Singer. I live at 113 Garfield Avenue. Before I begin, I want to say that the views I express do not necessarily reflect the views of any companies or individuals I have business or personal relationships with, or any organizations I'm affiliated with. I am here exercising my freedom of speech as a resident and constituent of Toms River. I'm asking each council member to vote yes to end the cannabis business ban for Toms River. At very minimum, I would like to see a medical marijuana dispensary in the west end of Toms River so our residents and neighboring residents that are medical marijuana patients have safe accessibility to their medicine. That is what we all want, safe accessibility. This shouldn't be a political issue. But here we are discussing accessibility to something that over 64% of Toms River has voted for. Freedom of choice, freedom of accessibility to a legal product. We can work together with our common dreams for Toms River, safety for all, businesses thriving, freedom of choice for all, safe accessibility for patients to their medicine. Each council member has personal viewpoints about marijuana, and I do respect each one of your opinions. But this isn't about your opinions. This is about creating a safe accessibility for your constituents. This dais should be utilized to serve your constituents. No one is asking you to change your mind about marijuana. We are asked that you grant your constituents the right to choose for themselves what they want. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public? Mr. Garing.
Ken Gaughran, G-A-U-G-H-R-A-N, 1204 Fellowship Court in Toms River. I do support this ordinance that would set the expiration date for the ban. Wow, I can't talk. That would end the ban in, I think December was what it was talked about. One of the things I did want to bring up was, it's been discussed here a little bit, it's been discussed in other municipalities a little bit. What did Toms River voters vote for? What did voters of the state vote for? And if you go on to the Ocean County Clerk's website, they have a cool little tool where you can see the ballots going all the way back to 1980, the sample ballots. And this was the question presented for legalizing marijuana. The regular form was, do you approve amending the Constitution to legalize a controlled form of marijuana called cannabis? Only adults at least 21 years of age could use cannabis. The state commission created to oversee the state's medical cannabis program would also oversee the new personal use cannabis market. Cannabis products would be subject to the state sales tax. If authorized by the legislature, a municipality may pass a local ordinance to charge a local tax on cannabis products. Now, I know there's been some talk. Did people know what they were voting for? Did they know they were voting for dispensaries? Right there, it does say you're voting for a marketplace and that your town may tax it. And then we have the interpretive statement, which says this amendment would legalize a controlled form of marijuana called cannabis. Same thing, only persons at least 21 years of age could use cannabis products legally. The Cannabis Regulatory Commission would oversee the new adult cannabis market. The commission was created in 2019 to oversee the state's medical cannabis program. And the scope of the commission's new authority would be detailed in laws enacted by the legislature, which we have. And all retail sales of cannabis products in the new adult cannabis market would be subject to the state's sales tax. If authorized by the legislature, a municipality may pass a local ordinance to charge a local tax on cannabis products. To me, that does sound like you're voting on opening a store in your neighborhood, in your town. And with us right now, just today, they reported that Lakehurst, they're going ahead. They're opening dispensaries in Lakehurst too, which, not gonna lie, it shocked me a little bit, but they're looking at the Burger King. So now we have a town right to the south of us with South Toms River. We have one right to the west of us with Lakehurst. In Monmouth County, they're starting to go on the move. So our time to get into this is closing. And I do support passing this ordinance to set the sunset law. So, thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, you had your hand up in the third row in the back? Yes. If you would just state your name and address for the record,
I've never been
please.
here before. My name is Christy Pashon, and I live at 1035 Crystal Drive in Toms River. So I just stand before you as a patient of medical marijuana, and I can stand here today because of medical marijuana. So I'm a heavy advocate for it. If it was legal back in the day, it would have changed my whole way of living. I can now raise my daughter. I can play with her. I can walk with her. I can do all kinds of things with her because of medical marijuana. So, I mean, I know that the stigma is still there, that it's a gateway drug, but it's actually an exit drug. And for my disease, I have juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, which has really given me my life back. So I'm just standing before you as a patient that obviously I would like a medical dispensary in our town, considering 2/3 of us want it. So if not recreational, definitely medical. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. In the back, ma'am?
Thank you. My name is Alyssa Regney, and I live on Stratford Court here in Toms River. I've been a resident for about 11 years. I'm going to go over some of the financial points because I know that there's a push for this because people are under the impression that we're going to come into a lot of money. And I want you to know that I've been following this in Colorado for many years. I'm in the addictions field for 29 plus years. And I've actually interfaced and had many conversations with people from Colorado on what's happening there. And my concern is the residents of Toms River are not truly informed about the socioeconomic, psychological, physiological impact that this is going to have on this community. I work in the addictions field. I can tell you that marijuana is the #1 drug that that youth that I work with are becoming addicted to. It's the #1 primary drug that's sending kids to adolescent treatment facilities. It's the #1 drug that's sending kids to psychiatric wards. Is that really what we want for our youth? I mean, don't we think more for our youth? So let me give you some background on the financial piece. So what does 2%? First of all, I want to quote something from the Jefferson County, Colorado, which is similar in size to Ocean County. In 2017, there was a total of $51,783,620 in sales of recreational cannabis across 21 licenses. With a 2% tax rate, that would collect $1,035,572, which at the end of the day is 0.24% of Ocean County's budget. So revenue is not an automatic rollback to each municipality. 7% of the sales tax goes to the state, and the state has earmarked 70% of the revenue to go to impact zones. Due to our demographics, we would not be considered to be an impact zone. Toms River is not an impact zone, so we will not be collecting much of the money. Recreational marijuana is a 100% cash business. Why? The federal government has not reclassified THC. It is still a Schedule I drug, addicting and no medicinal benefit. According to DEA, according to the federal government, I will tell you from my trained background, and I have presented on marijuana many, many, many times to my peers and to parents and to school staff, I will tell you it's addictive, okay? There's a physiological addiction, there's a psychological addiction. Let's see here. So, it is still a Schedule I drug, therefore marijuana remains illegal at the federal level. The municipality assumes all the costs associated with the collection of that 2%. The mechanics of the collection of all cash business falls on the municipality. Once that occurs, what really is left over for the municipality to benefit from? What really is left over for us? Is it really worth what the cost, the amount of money we're going to take in is far less than the amount of money we're going to be putting out in terms of taking care of our community, with the homelessness rates, with the crime rate, more addiction, sending every age to treatment, not just adolescents. I mean, we have a high rate of addiction right now. Do you realize, I hope that the public understands that while we are in an opioid overdose crisis mode, Toms River is a hot spot here for the state of New Jersey. Do you understand that when you use marijuana, you're actually lowering your pain threshold? You're lowering the pain threshold, which actually puts you in greater risk of becoming addicted to opiates and opioids. And I'll give you statistics on that. Denver County alone in Colorado has 514 licenses. In reality, with only 21 counties in New Jersey and many municipalities opting out, realistically, how many licenses at 2% tax revenue will it take to see a profit? I'm going to share something with you. Last night at 11:30 p.m. on the news, it was Channel 4 News, Adam Cooperstein did a report. The title was Mistaking Cannabis for Candy. That was the title of this on mainstream media, by the way, not hidden away anywhere. So, what we discovered on this news report, that in 2008, this isn't based in New York, okay? So New York does not, they're not legalized yet for recreational marijuana.
Okay. All right. She has the floor. Go ahead.
Okay,
ma'am.
so I'm thinking, so this is what they were reporting out on. So in 2018, just go with the statistics. In 2018, they had 6 poison by edible reports for children under 18. In 2019, it went to 32. In 2020, it went to 127. So in 2018 to 2020, it went from 6 kids to 127 people, 127 children. Just think about that. I can tell you stories that parents have shared with me of their own children by accident, not realizing that a brownie had marijuana in it. And they ended up with psychosis in the emergency room. Children were showing up in the ERs with 150 to 200 milligrams of THC, along with seizures, having seizures. By the way, an adult dosage to get an adult high is anywhere, it's between 5 to 10 milligrams. Children were showing up in the ERs. It's just, I want you to visualize this for Toms River, because remember, your vote is going to have an impact on our families and our children. That means parents are going to be showing up at your meetings and sharing the truth. So what do you want on your conscience? I don't mean to be disrespectful. I don't mean to talk down to you. But I've been in the addictions field for 30 years. I have watched kid after kid after kid struggle with addiction to marijuana. That's consistently been the drug of choice. Yes, you have alcohol and other drugs mixed in there, yes. But marijuana is the drug of choice, unfortunately, for our children. Making it more well, first of all, the fact that we're legalizing makes it more acceptable to kids using. It's all about perception for our youth. So now that we've legalized, now the kids say, oh, see that? No problem at all. Now they use 5 times more than what they were using before. But not only are we legalizing it, it's not like, I want to tell you that Colorado residents, they're saying, wait a minute, this is not what we voted for. We thought that it was going to be like, people can, if they want to go smoke in their house and that's it, and grow their own little stash in their yard, that's it. That's what Colorado residents thought they were getting. I can tell you that's what they thought, because I've spoken to many of them over the years, okay? My concern is transparency. I don't think the state of New Jersey has been transparent enough as to what is going on in other states that have truly been the guinea pig, the test, the experiment. So I think we all in this room who are taking a vote on something, you really do need to do your due diligence and do your research. I'm more than happy to come and meet with you. I'll come and do a presentation for all of you. okay? I want to let you know, hold on. I want to give you a few more, some more facts because unfortunately, I do feel like this has not been a transparent process at all, and I think it's bamboozling our residents here in Toms River when you're not giving all the factual information of both sides to the public. So, here's a source for you, and by the way, I use evidence-based, nationally known sources for my data. I don't use an article at a magazine who decides to just make stuff up, okay? The resources I use, I can back it up, all right? So, State of New Jersey, Department of Education, Commissioner's Annual Report, Student Safety and Discipline in New Jersey, Public Schools, 2019 and 2018. Well, actually, but it's not. So in 2016, incidents of substance abuse, marijuana was 2,270. Alcohol was just 468. So compare, I told you earlier, marijuana is the #1 drug of choice for our adolescents. That data on that point just right there speaks volumes. Okay, from 2016 all the way, let's speed up to 2018-19, it jumps. So in 2016, it was 2,270. In 2018-19 school year, it doubled, 4,189. It doubled.
Do you think that had anything to do with the legalization in neighboring states, for example, in
100%.
New England?
Yes, 100%. And I will tell you that as soon as Colorado legalized, that was at the point where all of a sudden we saw a huge jump here in New Jersey among our youth. So it doesn't even have to be New Jersey. It was a state on the other side of the country. And we in New Jersey saw an increase, a dramatic increase of student use. Is that what we want for our youth? Because I'm going to tell you, it's going to have far more of a financial impact than the money you're going to bring in for this community. And by the way, Toms River is the county seat. What's the county seat going to look like for the rest of the county? What is it going to look like to the rest of the county, especially to those municipalities that are opting out because they care about their youth, they care about their families, they care about their community, they care about their businesses? They're going to be laughing at us. Just keep that in mind. Okay. Let's see here. Also, I want you to know. So you do realize that the potency of marijuana has changed. 1960s, marijuana potency was only 2%. Now, and that was leaf form, right? We didn't have the vape form back then. Now, your marijuana plant can have anywhere between 40 and higher % of THC in it. The vaping form, the edibles, all those concentrated forms of THC, 100% THC. Do you know how much it takes for a child, for a youth, a teenager, to actually go into a psychotic seizure? 8%, that's it. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Do you know how many kids I've had to watch over the years go into psychiatric facilities because of the marijuana, because they developed schizophrenia? Dr. Aaron Levine, he's a neuroscientist. He studied the brain. He studied the adolescent brain. And what he found out, and this is all documented, I can send you the videos. I would love for you to watch the videos, because I teach this. So he studied the adolescent brain. What he found out was that the adolescent brain is already primed for addiction. It doesn't matter. It could be nicotine, alcohol, marijuana. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be video games. It could be just looking at your phone. It's primed for addiction. That's why we have kids having meltdowns when parents take their phones away, right? That's why. Because they work out of the amygdala. Their brain development is nowhere near formed. We all are using our prefrontal cortex. Adolescents don't have a prefrontal cortex that's completed. It doesn't complete developing until they're in their mid-20s. Do you know what the marijuana is doing to them? It's causing the psychosis, mainly because I will tell you that when we've had many journalists across the country have gone around and they've taken samples from different marijuana dispensaries where it's legalized, and those journalists sent them out to get tested. Do you know what they found out? There was 0 CBD in every one of those samples. How is that possible? 0 CBD. Do you know what CBD is? What the purpose of that? Like, it's amazing. I mean, CBD is good in its purity. It can be good for people, for sure. CBD helps your body from becoming addicted. It helps your body from becoming so high that you develop psychosis, so high that you become you put yourself in a catatonic state. CBD helps us to not develop mental health problems, but the potency is off the chart with the THC, and they've bred. When you talk to, I communicate with Dr. Stephen Laviolette, who is with the Schulich School of Medicine in in Canada. He has studied the adolescent brain as well. And he studies marijuana and he studies CBD. So he's one of the top in the world to talk to, by the way. And I co-presented with him. I want to tell you that what he said, he's made it very clear that having the industry, marijuana industry, they've bred the CBD right out of the marijuana plant, let alone the vaping is a totally different ballgame. But the plant itself, it's bred out. And he said that's why we have so many people who are developing psychosis with underage, with adolescents, because their brains are not developed until they're in their mid-20s. By the way, that schizophrenia, that level of psychosis, that can be permanent to them. It may not be for you or me. I don't use, but at our age, it may not be permanent damage for us, but for the adolescents. What Dr. Levine says is that if you use any substance before the age of 18, you have a 25% chance of becoming addicted to other drugs. If you waited until after you were 21 years of age where your brain had more time to develop, guess what? That 25% chance of addiction drops all the way down to 4%. I'm letting you know that if you bring the sale of marijuana to your community, you're literally lowering the IQ of your future businessmen and women. Did you know that for adolescents, when adolescents use before their brain is fully developed, they lower their IQ by 8 points. 8 points. Shouldn't we be concerned about that? And by the way, for all of us adults sitting in the room, you lower your IQ by 2 points, just in case you wanted to know. This is of a concern for me. Okay, so I had the privilege of attending a recent meeting, the Cannabis Committee meeting, and as a public member. And I'm concerned because in that meeting, what I witnessed is that there were only 3 people sitting at the table who clearly were concerned, and the rest of the people sitting in this room, including consultants, and I'm not really sure if they're paid or volunteer consultants, but everybody else in the room were all financially vested in the sale of marijuana or agriculture. Does anyone not see something wrong with that? We need transparency. We have to demand transparency. All right, just few more, bear with me. Teens who use marijuana are 60% less likely to complete high school or college, 8 times more likely to use other drugs, 3 times more likely to become addicted to heroin, 7 times more likely to commit suicide, 6 times more likely to develop schizophrenia. I'm asking you to table this. I'm asking you to opt out. I'm asking you to give this time to watch what other communities, how they're managing things or not able to manage things. I'm asking you to just wait and see. Don't jump into this. Be the champion and just kind of take a step back and see what other communities are experiencing who opted in first. Because Colorado, all of the regions who opted in at the beginning, who didn't choose to opt out, regretted it for all the reasons I'm giving you. Your DUIs, you're under the influence in school and driving for adults and kids, it's all going to skyrocket. Your fatalities are going to skyrocket. The data's all there. It's all there. I'm more than happy to give you the report if you haven't seen that report. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, hang on 1 second. Please be seated. There's a couple other people. I believe there's someone else on the one side of the room. Yes. Mr. Brilliant, you had your hand raised previously. You would State your name and address for the record, please. Thank you.
Phil Brilliant, 79 Holly Tree Lane. Good evening, Mayor, Council President, Council. I am Phil Brilliant, the current First Vice Chair and incoming Chair of the Greater Toms River Chamber of Commerce. I represent tonight the Greater Toms River Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for allowing me a few moments to address the Council. The Greater Toms River Chamber of Commerce represents over 350 businesses, both large and small, within Toms River Township and the surrounding communities, leveraging our coastal beauty and rich history to drive economic innovation and growth. We strive to be involved and participate in the activities that create jobs and promote the development of existing and new businesses in our community. We're aware that on July 27th, the Toms River Township Council approved a ban on retail cannabis business in the township, as well as introduced an ordinance that would have the ban expire on December 31st, 2021, giving the township time to continue its work examining the issue of whether recreational marijuana businesses have a place in Toms River Township. We commend the council for taking action, for understanding that there are more questions than answers and no regulations. Though there was a state-mandated deadline to either vote to prohibit sales by August 21st, 2021, or take no action and lose the right to opt out for 5 years. During a recent survey of our membership, over 70% were in favor of the Greater Toms River Chamber of Commerce supporting controlled legalized cannabis sales in Toms River. However, I am not here tonight to give you an endorsement of a position, but rather commend you, the council, on doing their due diligence, maintaining an open door to opinions of the residents, the experts, and the business community. Representing the businesses of our community, the Greater Toms River Chamber of Commerce is very interested in new business, especially those that may provide set-aside opportunities for small, minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses. I thank you for the time and your hard work on behalf of the residents and business owners of Toms River, and if the Greater Toms River Chamber of Commerce can be of any assistance, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Does anyone else have their hand up? This gentleman in the front row, you were first. State your name, full address, please, for the record.
Daniel Kessel, 101 Dewey Drive, Ortley Beach. So she said a lot of numbers. I could show you numbers that are opposite. We're not even going to get into that. But the number she did say was that cannabis use went up in those, whatever year she said. Yeah, but those numbers of alcohol went down because the kids realized that weed is probably safer than alcohol. So that is the reason why those numbers are like that. And I want to get into a little bit, say thank you to Lori, because she is working. That lady's been to one meeting. She's been to every one, and they're working, and they're going to get something done. It just takes time, like she said. We're getting there. So don't criticize the committee because you didn't like what you saw, because I've been to multiple meetings, and everything is getting done. I wanted to get into it. So the last time cannabis was banned was at the end of Prohibition, which of alcohol, which alcohol was illegal first. And that was by a man named Harry Anslinger. So the way I look at it is, like, I keep hearing, oh, we don't want it in our backyard. Well, he explained to you that that's not true, because we saw what we saw on the ballot. And it has to do, so it's, that statement of we want it, don't want it in our backyard, that it very much has to do with racism. So let's just put that there. But these businesses thrive. I saw Daniel Roderick put an article in one of the papers that said he doesn't change his mind based on politics. You don't change your mind. You change your whole party affiliation, last time I checked. And you're running with Justin Lamb, who's literally protecting a heroin addict cop.
Sir, everything has to be addressed to the chair, please.
So
Thank
don't
you.
say you're against drugs when you're running on a ticket with Justin Lamb, who may not be direct, but as a sergeant, and those residents are paying the tax money every time that officer goes to rehab and leaves early. So I just thought that the town residents should know that's who he's running with. These guys pretty much nailed most of it. You guys see that the businesses will work. I'm just going to say thank you to Lori, and hopefully the committee meetings, with the ballot, and you guys pass this because it's the right thing to do, we will get something done. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, in the third row? Yes. If you would state your name and address for the record,
Thank you,
please.
Mr. Chairman. Rory Wells. I'm a resident of Manchester, 208 Oak Lane. I apologize for my tardiness. I came from another meeting that I was chairing. Of course, I shop in Toms River. I am a reverend. I'm certified minister with the Assemblies of God, and I worship at First Assembly of God Church here in Toms River, 800 Bay Avenue. It's a very active church in the community. Pastor Paul Gifford is the senior pastor there. I spoke about a year ago against commercial recreational sales in this venue. I made some recommendations to the council as it was made up at that time, and I just wanted to put my voice on the record since I do shop and I represent at least a portion of the spiritual community in your town. I understand you have a committee. I don't know if you have ministers or clergy represented on that committee representing the spiritual health and well-being of your community. So I felt it was important to come and put my position on the record. I know you have access to a lot of information, both for and against, and I don't want to conflate the issue because we're not talking about medical marijuana and we're not talking about decriminalization. We're talking about commercial recreational sales in your community. I don't think I recognize the item on the agenda here is to sunset and to whether to continue. My recommendation to the council would be to vote no today against commercial recreational sales in Toms River. You will not be able to dip your toe in the water with this. This is either all in or all out. And by making this vote, should you choose to allow these commercial establishments in your community, essentially what you are doing is saying we want more drugs in our community, not less. That is a fact. Sure, there's an underground market. Sure, somebody in your community could travel to another community and purchase marijuana when it's available. But this is a legacy vote. And when I say a legacy vote, it means no matter how long you serve in your political career, 2, 3, 5, 10 years, this is something that will affect and live on long past your tenure. It will affect the character and quality of life of your residents. So I'm here to just encourage you. One, depending on where you were to allow these establishments, should you vote in favor of them, that may obviously butt up against my town in Manchester. We obviously have a lot of seniors in our community. We care about the roads and the safety on the traffic, and we care about the casual use of this drug. But primarily, as I'm using my authority here today, as a member of First Assembly of God Church at 800 Bay Avenue here in Toms River. So I won't give you facts because I know you can find them if you want them. I just want it to be clear that when you vote, you are voting to either bring more drugs into your community or not. And just be aware that it's a legacy vote. It is a legacy vote that will carry. And the character and community that you will give to your children and grandchildren will be affected by that vote. So with that, I won't drag on. I know you're going to have a long meeting tonight, but I appreciate the time, Mr. Chairman, that you've given me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else wish to be heard on this ordinance? All right. Okay, seeing none, I'll take a motion to close.
Council President? Council President?
Yes, sir.
Before we even take a vote, would it be okay if our township attorney explains what this vote is for tonight? Because I'm listening to every one of the residents, and I'm not sure that all of the people that have come up understand what the council is voting on tonight, because a lot of the people are coming up saying, we're going to vote tonight to legalize the sale of recreational marijuana in this community, and that's not what this ordinance is, and I think it's important for the public to be educated on what we're voting on tonight so that they understand we are, in fact, doing our due diligence.
Absolutely. Mr. Merlino.
Yeah, the ordinance that is on the agenda tonight does not legalize recreational sales or manufacture or delivery, and it does not adopt any specific policy. What it is a companion or sort of like an addendum to the previous ordinance adopted, which banned it. This ordinance, if adopted tonight, would impose a sunset date of December 31st of this year. That would give the council the rest of the balance of this year to decide on a specific policy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll move to
close the public comments portion of the ordinance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Move the ordinance on final.
Second.
A motion was made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Turnbach. Councilwoman Yurick.
So last meeting, we voted to opt out of the New Jersey state law because we were under a deadline of August 22nd, and we did not feel that that would allow us enough time to do our due diligence. We were given a choice to either put an expiration date on that particular ordinance, or we would have had to modify it. It gets complicated legally. Or the simple way was to introduce a companion ordinance, which had to go through a first and second reading with that other ordinance, to establish an expiration date on that opt-out so that we would have sufficient time to examine the issue. Now, it's true that we can change the ordinance at any time. We can change any ordinance at any time, as long as it doesn't conflict with other laws. But that's not the point. The point of this is to put an expiration date on the ban or opt-out that we passed at the last meeting so that it speaks to the committee that is working very hard and the public that we are doing our due diligence, that we are taking this matter seriously, that we are taking the issue of safety and what the voters asked for. And we're looking at it from many sides. Legalization is very clear. It's not for those under 21, just like alcohol is not for those under 21. And adults who can legally obtain alcohol and quite soon marijuana need to do their due diligence as adults, as responsible adults, and make sure that children don't obtain substances that are hazardous to their health. So this is not for those under 21. That's not what this is about. This is about consenting adults who are 21 and over. For me, this is not about money. This is not at all about money. Yes, there is a potential small benefit for the township if we pass something and there's a fee added on that the township could do. But that's not the point. The point is that we shouldn't be restricting our residents from being full-fledged adults and being able to make purchases that they choose to make. And by prohibiting it, it even says it in the beginning of the state law. It says that by legalizing, it's a matter of market share. You decrease the demand for illegal marijuana, which can be tainted, which can, is not tested. And when it's legal, it has to go through very, very strict testing, regulation, inspection, over and over and over again. And to clarify on the committee, so there are several people at the table on the committee that do not have a right to vote on what the committee is going to present to the council. Those people are experts in the field, and yes, they do have financial interest in a potential marijuana business, potentially. But they're there for one reason. They're there to provide expert information to us so that we may make an informed decision. We actually were presented with almost all of the information, all of the statistics that one of the residents just presented to us tonight at one of our meetings by one of our voting members who is with the health department. We intentionally got people from the health department, from the Toms River Police Department, from the school district, and our township planner. So those people don't have, and a financial consultant. So, and a business consultant who also deals with other substances that are highly regulated. Because we need to know how we can safely construct something that might be acceptable to the council and to the people of Toms River. So they're not paid. Every single person on the committee is volunteer. And it's an extra committee for me. I'm volunteering as well. So there's no money involved. This is all about trying to get the best information we possibly can to make a sound decision, or series of decisions, I should say, because it's a very complicated issue. It's not a yes or no. There are a lot of nuances to this. And so we have to take our time and be very careful. But the council has to demonstrate to the public that we didn't just pass a ban and now we're just going to duck our heads and just not face a difficult issue. No, we have to commit that this ban will expire in December, so that we have to accept whatever recommendations the committee is going to make by the first week of September, and then we have to take some action, It keeps the council honest, and it keeps us letting the public know that we are really trying to do a good job, and we will talk about this difficult issue, and we will address it again. So I vote yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
I would just echo what Councilwoman Hurek has indicated. The state law that was passed in this matter was 243 pages, 6 different licenses, and the idea that the council's going to digest that in a short period of time and understand what we're voting on is just not real. And I've read it, and I've read it again. And everyone in this room, pro or con, is asking us to do our due diligence. And that's what this vote is for tonight. We're not walking out of this room tonight voting yes and authorizing the legal sale of recreational marijuana all around town. Quite the contrary, we're listening to our residents, we're studying, we're listening to the experts, and they're going to make a presentation to us. And then we're going to have a vote on that, and the public will have their say again. So it would be easy to get up and just say, you know what, we don't really understand this 243-page law, so just vote no and we can revisit it. And we could revisit it at any time, but we're actually taking the time to understand the law, listen to the professionals, and come back. That's what you've put us up here for, to actually understand the issues, and that's why I'm voting yes.
Councilman Kopp.
I need to abstain.
Councilman Lotano.
Thank you very much. So a few weeks back, we decided to form a cannabis committee to get the ideas from the residents, to see how the residents stand. We had members of law enforcement, the health department, the school system, and we all agreed to give them a chance to put together an idea, and we would vote on it. They have not put the idea together yet, so we've had nothing to really vote on after we agreed to form that committee. I'm going to vote yes and wait to see what the Cannabis Committee comes up with.
Councilman Roderick.
Only 2 out of 33 municipalities in Ocean County have legalized or have failed to ban recreational sales of marijuana. This council just did so, and now we're passing an expiration date that's completely unnecessary. The council could at any time readdress this should the council see fit. So I see this as just a backdoor way of allowing legalized recreational sales after the November election. Frankly, the cost of public safety will never, the revenue brought in will never exceed the cost of public safety. If you think about one accident as a result of somebody driving under the influence, someone injures their back or something along those lines, that's $500,000 right there. You would need $100 million in sales just to have $2 million for the township. And that would represent a very, very small fraction of our school budget, 1% only. And then there are all the health issues that residents have raised. I don't support recreational sales in Toms River. I don't believe the people of Toms River support recreational sales. I vote no.
Council President Gagan.
Again, this shows that we're continuing to work with our constituents, pro and con, and it's a very passionate subject, as you can tell. We've received phone calls, emails, whatnot. Again, this shows that we're just moving ahead, hearing both sides, and once a decision is made, a suggestion that comes to the council, then we will actually vote, on legalizing it, not legalizing it, part of it, all of it, whatever is presented. So I vote yes.
Moving on to number 8, ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 147, Salary and Compensation of the Township Code to establish the compensation of certain township employees. This is a final reading.
Does any member of the public have any questions on this ordinance? It's on final read. Seeing none, I'll take a motion to close public comment.
Seeing none, I move to close the public comments portion of this ordinance.
Second.
Move the ordinance on final.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Kopp.
Nope.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Lotano.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
There are a number of salary increases here that are well-deserved, and then there are a number that are not. Traditionally, these were separate, and we voted on these as separate ordinances, and they're all thrown together here. They weren't available for the public to see. I'm not going to vote no here because, again, there are some folks that deserve a raise, but there are some folks who definitely do not, so I'm going to abstain.
Councilman Turnbach.
Vote yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Item 9, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, increasing the open space tax by an additional 1 cent per $100 of total township equalized real property valuation, subject to voter approval at the November 2021 general election. Final reading.
This final read, does any member of the public have any comments?
Seeing none, I move to close the public comments portion of the ordinance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Move the ordinance on final.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Well, preserving open space, top priority for our residents, and pending voter approval, I believe purchasing more vacant land will go a long way in preserving quality of life for our residents. I believe we should also engage the county in a partnership. It's come to my attention that they have as much as $70 million in their open space fund, and residents of Toms River comprise about 20% of taxpayers in Toms River. I do vote yes, but I believe we should also try engaging the county as well.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Number 10 is a refunding bond ordinance providing for payment of amounts owing to BASF Corporation for taxes levied in and by the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean, New Jersey, appropriating $13 million therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $13 million bonds or notes in the Township of Toms River for financing the cost thereof. This is the final reading.
Does any member of the public have any comments on this final read?
Seeing none, I move to close the public comments portion of this ordinance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move the ordinance on final.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Shame on BASF. You know, they and their high-power attorneys have cut their property tax liability to just $69,000 a year. I pay $11,000 on my home, and the BASF property, the SEBA property, it's the size of the city of Hoboken. And now Toms River is going to have to pay BASF $20 million in back taxes. And I don't understand how something like that happens, particularly given what Sibagagi did to this community and the damage it caused. So I'm going to vote no.
Councilman Turnback.
Can I just get an explanation from the township attorney, just so we're clear on what this is?
Yes, this bond ordinance will go to fund the judgment issued by the tax court against the township in a series of tax appeals that date back long before any of us were here, back to 2004. We litigated the case in the tax court. We lost. We appealed to the appellate division. We lost. We petitioned the state Supreme Court for review. They rejected the appeal. So as distasteful as this is, we are under a court order to pay this amount.
And if we don't bond,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
if we don't bond for this, how would the township pay for this?
Bonding is the only way to pay for it. The judgment is just too steep.
Just a quick question. Who managed the most recent appeal?
Who?
Who handled the
Council
most
President, I
recent-
believe it's my vote right now. and
Oh, it
I-
is your vote. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Yeah.
you already
it's-
cast your vote, Councilman Roderick.
Right. So I'm going to vote yes, so that the township can afford to pay this.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Item 11, a bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements and the acquisition of various capital equipment appropriating $10,097,163 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $9,592,305 bonds and notes to finance a portion of the cost thereof, authorized in and by the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean, New Jersey. First reading.
Move the ordinance on first.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Yurick, second by Councilman Kopp. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Just going back, perhaps if we hired attorneys not based on who's most politically connected, but based on who was most qualified, we wouldn't owe that kind of money. Just to reiterate what I was talking about before, I know it was Mr. Turnbuck's turn. I vote
Just to
yes on
respond to that,
I vote yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
was just going to answer that. We've been represented by outside counsel in that case, the same attorneys, back since 2004.
I understand. On number 11, I vote yes.
Councilman Turnbuck.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Item 12, an ordinance reappropriating $985,532.25 for the proceeds of obligations not needed for their original purposes in order to provide for a capital improvement in and by the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean, New Jersey. First reading.
Move the ordinance on first.
Second?
I'm sorry, Council President, was that Councilman Lotano?
Yes.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Yurick, second by Councilman Lotano. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbuck.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Number 13, an ordinance reappropriating $1,396,007.38 of the proceeds of obligations not needed for their original purposes in order to provide for a capital improvement in and by the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean, New Jersey. Another first reading.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Kopp, seconded by Councilwoman Yurick. Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbuck.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Number 14 is an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, authorizing an appropriation of $685,000 from the Open Space Trust Fund toward the acquisition by the State of New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection of the real property designated as Block 1022, lots 2.03 and 2.04, Block 1026, lots 27 through 30, in the Township of Toms River, and this is a first reading.
Move the ordinance on first.
Second.
A motion was made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Councilwoman Yurick?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Lotano?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach?
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Item 16.
Did we skip
15.
15?
15.
I'm sorry, typo. Item 15. A resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, urging the governor to sign into law Assembly Bill Number 5864 to allow police officers to review body-worn camera footage prior to creating an initial incident report.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Turnbach, seconded by Councilwoman Yurick. Councilman Turnbach.
I want to thank the council for consideration of this resolution and placing this on the agenda tonight. This is a resolution that is supported by our local PBA as well as the state PBA. All officers in New Jersey are now mandated to wear body-worn cameras, and the municipalities are responsible for the payment of that. We did receive a grant at our last meeting. We approved the grant. The law, as it's currently formulated, doesn't allow the officers to review the body-worn camera prior to writing their initial reports, which makes absolutely no sense. The purpose of the cameras is protection of the officer and also to allow the public and to see what goes on. So why wouldn't we allow our officers to review that to make sure things are done right? These laws aren't passed to trap our police. They're designed to protect the public, and for that reason, I support this resolution. I'm going to urge Governor Murphy to sign the law, and the bill that's before him was overwhelmingly supported by both the Senate and the Assembly. Thank you.
Councilwoman Yurick.
I can only imagine that the opportunity to review the footage prior to preparing a report would benefit both the police and the public. I can't see any reason for not allowing the police to review the footage prior to preparing the report. It just makes absolutely no sense. So I vote yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes. Before reading item Resolution 16, it was brought to our attention that this is an expired term. Due to the controversy around it, it brought it to light, and I would like to take a motion from any council members as to a regular member to be appointed to the MUA.
I would like to nominate someone, please, Council President. So I'd like to nominate Phil Brilliant for this position to be filled for the term which expired February 1st, 2021. Mr. Brilliant, who happens to be here in the audience for representing the chamber, as well as he got a proclamation for being the president of his congregation at B'nai Beth Israel. He has a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Studies from Rutgers. He's a licensed remediation professional, along with multiple certifications and licenses for the New Jersey DEP, OSHA, which is like public safety and things like that, hazardous material management. He's a local business owner here in town and Brilliant Environmental. He's been a resident here since 1993. He is the incoming chairman of the Greater Toms River Chamber of Commerce. And like I said already, he was actually honored here tonight in this very meeting. That's my recommendation to the public, that he'd be a great addition to the MUA, and I recommend Phil Brilliant.
Is there a second?
I'd like to second that nomination. I've known Mr. Brilliant for many years now. He's an exemplary member of the community, and I'm sure he'll do a fine job.
Before we take a vote,
I was going to ask if there's any other nominations from the council.
I don't have a nomination.
Okay. All right.
But before we take a vote, I would like to read something. I received a letter tonight before the council meeting from the current chair of the Municipal Utilities Authority, and there's some allegations in here. And given the nature of those allegations, I'm wondering if it would be more prudent if we tabled this motion right now and perhaps discuss this in executive session prior to making an appointment. I'd like to read the letter to the public. This came from Chairman of the MUA, Carmen Memoli, this evening. It says, Dear Council President, Council Vice President, Council Women, and Councilmen, in reviewing the council agenda for Tuesday, July 27th, it appears that I'm being replaced as a commissioner on the Toms River Municipal Utilities Authority. At this time, I am asking you to reconsider my removal for this position. As most of you know, I have been a commissioner for over 10 years, chairman for 3+ years, and vice chairman for 2 years. In a recent training session provided by the New Jersey MEEL for elected officials, I've become aware of several whistleblower laws in place for the state of New Jersey. One New Jersey law, called the Worker Freedom from Employer Intimidation Act, that went into effect in 2006. This law specifically prohibits companies from requiring employees to attend meetings or to participate in communications regarding the employer's opinion about religious or political issues. Another law, the Conscientious Employer Protection Act, protects employees from retaliation, such as being fired, demoted, passed up for a promotion, or harassed, and that is underlined, because they objected to something that they reasonably believe violated the law. So how may the whistleblower laws apply to me? Recently, I have had conversations with Council President Kevin Gagan, Council Vice President Maria Maruca, and Toms River Law Director Greg McGuckin regarding why I'm not being reappointed as a commissioner on the MUA. The tone of each conversation was that I needed to resign from membership of the Toms River Regular Republican Club, of which I have been a member for 20+ years, join the New Republicans for Toms River Club, and resign as treasurer for the Southern Ocean Conservative Republican PAC, aka SOCAR PAC. Mr. McGuckin even went as far as to say that they are rewarding the alternate MUA commissioner, Al Manforti, who happens to be the chairman of the board of the Republicans for the Toms River Club, by moving him up to my spot on the board. Mr. McGuckin also said that he got the council to hold open, that he got the council to hold open the soon-to-be vacated alternate position, and if I were to do all the actions listed above, I may be reconsidered for the alternate commissioner position at a later date. Also, by text messaging last week, I had conversed with the present Ocean County Republican Chairman, Frank Holman, who I have known for 33 years. He was also the auditor for the MUA, or rather of the MUA, for 35+ years. I asked him to support my reappointment, and he asked me if I was supporting the regular Republicans for Toms River candidates and if I had gone to any of their fundraising events. He then proceeded to say that I was a member of the old Republican Club and that the Southern Ocean Conservative Republican PAC was creating division within the party. Mr. Holman also requested that I make a $300 donation to the Citarelli for Governor campaign for an upcoming fundraiser. However, in the same texting conversation, the chairman and former MUA auditor said that I was a good chairman at the MUA. Furthermore, it may also be possible that my reappointment to the MUA is being blocked by the township mayor, Mohill. It is well known that the mayor is still complaining to this day about the fact that he was forced to file a lawsuit against myself, the finance chairman, and the CTRE, Kelleher, Hill, Kabeel, and Whitman, for funds he felt he deserved for his 2019 campaign. Ironically, all of the funds in the CTRE, Kelleher, Hill, Kabeel, and Whitman account were raised by only 4 individuals: the former Ocean County Republican chairman, the former president of the Toms River Regular Republican Club, the finance chairman at that time, and me. In addition, it is also known that the mayor and his administrator, Lou Amoroso, were not very happy with me because the MUA did not give a job to a former Toms River councilman, John Sevastakis, who was not qualified for either of the 2 positions that were available at that time. These 2 positions were executive director and safety compliance officer. There was considerable pressure from the township administrator to hire this unqualified individual, and I was advised there would be consequences if I did not hire him. In one of many phone conversations with the administrator, I asked if he knew what my status was for reappointment to the MUA and if he could put a good word in for me. His response was, quote, "I am not going to help anyone until John Sevastakis is hired at the MUA." Finally, at a recent MUA meeting, the commissioners voted to move $750,000 from Lakeland Bank, earning 2% interest, to Manasquan Bank, which is paying 0.45% interest. With the township asking for almost $1 million each year, we need to fiscally manage every dime at the MUA. By moving the money, we also felt it was in the best interest of the MUA ratepayers. Now, there's more in here regarding allegations.
Do you want to finish the letter so the public can hear the whole letter?
You only have a paragraph to go.
Sure. I'm getting a little tired. But anyway,
You can make the allegations with regard to senators.
sure. 0.45% interest with the township asking for almost $1 million a year. We need to fiscally manage every dime at the MUA. By moving the money, we also felt that this was in the best interest of the MUA ratepayers of Toms River. As you know, Senator Bob Singer is a board member with Lakeland Bank. I was informed that Senator Singer was very upset that we moved the funds. Subsequently, my reappointment was discussed at a meeting where the participants were Senator Singer, Chairman Frank Holman, and some others. And when my name was mentioned about reappointment, Senator Singer stood up and said, "Absolutely not." He did not want me reappointed. For the record, I have never had any dealings with the senator in the past. So again, this is filled with a number of accusations and allegations. And at this time, I don't think it would be prudent to make the appointment, although Mr. Brilliant may be very qualified. I think that we should discuss this further. Perhaps an investigation is warranted.
Okay, thank you. With no other motions from the council, I'll accept a motion to close nominations.
Motion to close nominations?
Second?
And for this, I have to do a roll call vote. Motion to close nominations, moved by Councilman Latano, seconded by Councilwoman Yurick. Councilman Latano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
I'm going to abstain.
Councilman Turnbach?
Yes.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Okay.
Now the resolution 16. Yeah, we have to move the appointment through
Right,
resolution 16.
we need a
Resolution of appointment of Mr. Brilliant.
Mr. Brilliant, okay.
I'd like to move the resolution of Mr. Brilliant that expired on February 1st, 2021.
Okay. And I do have a second as Councilwoman York.
Yes.
Okay. Councilman Latano?
I would just like to add something quickly. I know there was a lot of accusations there. I lost track at some point of maybe 6 or 7 people, including a senator. it started getting a little carried away. I myself spoke to Ms. Merlino. I wasn't named in there. I didn't have a conversation like that. There are some issues that were there, finance-related, that I didn't want to bring up, and I want to leave it at that. So I vote yes for Mr. Brilliant. Thank you.
Councilwoman Yorick.
I vote yes.
Councilman Kopp.
So I believe Mr. Brilliant's going to do a great job. He's highly qualified. And that being said, I vote yes.
Councilman Roderick.
I'm going to abstain.
Councilman Turnbach.
I think we can learn some lessons from our Board of Education and what's happening here tonight. And at some point, the residents of Toms River don't want to get caught up in party politics, right? We want to do what's right for our town and not have all these issues coming up because of party politics. Now, I've had the pleasure of serving on this council for 4 years, and I've seen the efforts in this community of Mr. Phil Brilliant. And I'm probably on the opposite side of the aisle of Phil Brilliant, but I don't even know. Because, we've worked a lot. I've had the pleasure of attending B'nai Israel when he was the president. I saw how he conducted himself. I was here on this council when the community was addressing the anti-Semitism that was here, and I listened to Mr. Brilliant speak, and he spoke passionately about his community and that all members of this community are welcome. See what he does for the Chamber of Commerce, and our town will benefit from Phil Brilliant. He's an outstanding member of this community, and our town and our residents need to start demanding that boards and elected officials do what's right for the citizens and not what's right for party politics. And that's why I'm voting yes.
Council President Gagan.
I'm going to be abstaining on this vote. I just have an added comment. In addition to, the letter that Councilman Roderick wrote, I also had authored a letter based on the accusations and forwarded that letter to the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office for further investigation. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. No. Oh, I got this. Moving on to the consent agenda. All items listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion. In the form listed below, there will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired on any item, that item will be considered separately.
Does any member of the council have any item they wish to be discussed or voted on separately? Does any member of the public have any item that they'd like to discuss separately? Yes, sir. Mr. Termolen, just the letter. Okay, just you can have a seat. I'll call you up in one moment. Is any other member of the public? Mr. Anderson? Okay. All right. Any other member of the public have any item they wish to discuss separately? Okay.
Seeing none, I move the balance of the consent agenda other than item K.
Second?
Motion made by Councilwoman Yorick, seconded by Councilman Latano, to move the balance of the consent agenda with the exception of item K. Councilwoman Yorick.
Yes.
Councilman Latano.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Termolen, your question on... And might as well call Mr. Hudak up, because in the...
Termolen, 109 Messenger Street. My concern about K is this. You can put a loop around Toms River downtown. That's not going to solve any problems. If you try to go around Toms River, where do you go? You go Route 166, 2 lanes. You go Lakehurst Road, 2 lanes. Main Street, 2 lanes. Washington, 2 lanes. Dock Street, 2 lanes. Everything it comes back to getting out of Toms River. You can get in here, but you can't get out. So I don't think, the other thing is we just built 2 new bridges. Okay, we just had 2 new bridges built down there, and they would be affected. My main concern, though, is that this loop downtown would have something in the long run to do with the building of X amount of apartments, condos, whatever's going to be built here in this town. And I think that issue affects a lot of us who live downtown here. A lot of us have been here. I was here 20-some years ago when they tried to cram 10 pounds of poop in a 5-pound bag on the condos downtown. They wanted to put 82 condos downtown. And we fought for 3.5 years because that's not what Toms River's about. All right? Most of us who've been here a while, and the new people that moved in, we came here to Toms River because we like the village of Toms River. Downtown is the Toms River Village. It's the town of Toms River. It's not the city of Toms River. We don't feel, most of us that live downtown here, don't feel that we can handle what we have here now as far as traffic flow. You start putting more apartments, condos in, whatever, and you got this loop. That's not going to work. Toms River has a lot of beautiful buildings downtown. And those buildings should be rebuilt, reconstructed, reused. That's what this town needs. We don't need a loop to get around Toms River. We got to figure out a way to get people in and out of Toms River in a nice, smooth manner. And again, it comes down to about 6-8 months ago, I was downtown here, and I was told we have highways downtown here in Toms River. And I go, where? I was told Hooper Avenue. Hooper Avenue is 4 lanes some places, 2 lanes others. I was told we have Water Street. And I go, Water Street is a highway? And they go, yeah, it's 4 lanes. We go 6 blocks and you got 5 traffic lights. That's not a highway. It goes 6 blocks. We don't need a loop around Toms River. We got to figure out the outside of Toms River. We got to figure out Lakehurst Road, 166, Main Street, Washington Street. That's what has to be figured out before we go putting a lot of effort into building bigger roads and different roads down here in Toms River, because it doesn't get us out of here. And I think that's the issue. I don't think this is a useful way to put money to figure out a loop. We have other issues that have to be figured out if that loop was built. You know, some of us who live here downtown, we look back at the debacle down at 37 and Main Street, which made a bad decision worse. And then we look at maybe a loop. I heard, I don't know if it's a rumor, somebody wants the construction, they want to put a roundabout. They want to put a circle to get off the parkway. What good is that going to do? It's a waste of money. All right, so I think there has to be a lot of concern, a lot of consideration before we go putting money into building a loop around Toms River. Let's straighten out what we got here now, and then if we get downtown straightened out, then let's put a loop to get people in and out of here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tremolin. Mr. Anderson, did you want to come up and make a comment? No, he can answer everybody all at once. That's fine. Thank you. That's all right.
Art Anderson, 12 Park Street. So I guess it was months back, there was 2 Zoom meetings from the town about this. I was involved in it, and they were asking questions at the end, and I emailed them the questions, got a response that they got my questions, but I never received anything. So I'm a little confused. Is that, whatever the survey and the planning, is that complete, and now they're going to engineer it?
Mr. Gincallion to be able to answer that. Yeah, who was your question addressed it with?
Okay, well, he says, I didn't know if we went through the planning section. Is this right now, is this for the engineering, so the planning is done and they already decided they're going to do the circle?
I don't believe so.
Do my best. There was a lot of questions in that.
Yeah.
So the build grant, which you're being asked tonight, is for preliminary engineering. This is part of a federal design process. Your question, Mr. Anderson, that was part of the concept development study prepared by the county. There were several public hearings, numerous traffic modeling. The original concept was a loop. That's now been changed to more traditional. The Water Street will continue to be 2-way. Her Flicker will be constructed, and that will become 2-way. So it's not going to be the original design loop. That's some of the findings that the study uncovered. I also, a few years ago, with part of the Federal Highway Administration, the county engineer conducted what they called a road safety audit. The intersection by the MEWay, when you come over the bridge, is one of the most dangerous intersections, believe it or not, in the state of New Jersey. The Federal Highway said, take a look at this. So we also have the state of New Jersey is looking to reconstruct the bridge at 166 by Huddy Park. We also have the old former gas site. So all of these things are all kind of happening, and this build grant is kind of a culmination of it. So what's going to, the design now, which is moving forward, is two-way traffic on Water Street and Herflicker. The internal streets, or what would have been the spokes, they'll continue to be two-way and improved with intersection improvements. The recommendation is for a roundabout at the light by the bridge, not a traffic circle. And this has been in coordination with the Turnpike Authority, the Parkway. One of the concerns that they have now is that light backs up, forces traffic to back up onto the Parkway, which is dangerous. You don't really ever want cars stopped because differential in speed. So the difference between a roundabout and a circle, as most people know or may know, circles were the old technology. For instance, Route 34, you're on the highway, you come up and you go onto the circle, you have the right of way. However, if that circle stops, all traffic stops. A roundabout, the circle has the right of way. The circle keeps on moving. So as the circle keeps accepting traffic, cars coming off of the Parkway, it's less of a backup. And the Parkway Authority so far has blessed that decision. So has the Federal Highway Administration. There was what's called a synchro model, which is a very complicated computer model of all traffic. There were counts done all over the area. And it was projected with full development, which I think we all know the bid is very anxious for. This concept will have better, let me take a step back. Levels of service is how you measure timing at an intersection. If you wait a long time, it's a failure. That's what aggravates people at a stoplight. We will have better level of service at all these intersections with full development than we will have today without development and without the project. So although we're all concerned about traffic, which we clearly are, we're concerned about safety. I know the bid's concerned about development. There's a lot of thought that's gone into this to try to attack all of those goals. I could go on further without boring everybody, but that's kind of where we're at today. And this is the next step of beginning to engineer those improvements. There's still a final engineering step, and then what's called preparing final engineering plans and specifications for bid. This stage alone is a year's worth of work. So this is the beginning part of beginning to design this project, which we have to have complete by 2025 as part of I think it was a $5.6 million grant we received. So,
Council President?
Thank you.
Can I just
Yes, sir.
ask a question?
Mr. Turnback.
For those residents that may not have been here when we talked about the original grant, can you explain to our residents what that grant is and the monies received and what it's for, just so we're not voting on that grant tonight? That's obviously long past, but maybe just to educate everybody what the grant's about.
The grant, that build grant, is to increase development in certain areas and business development. Build, formerly known as a Tiger grant. There was some studies that I believe the state funded after Sandy for downtown for development areas. Those studies, prepared by Mr. Roberts, unfortunately he's not here tonight, were used to apply for this grant, which the federal government awarded to the township. My understanding, it's the first time a township's received a grant from the federal government like that in, I think, over 10 years. It was very unique, but it was a great opportunity for the township to, again, help solve all of these problems that I just mentioned. However, as part of that grant, there's a lot of milestones, and this is one of them. This is the award of the preliminary engineering.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions, sir?
Sure. Like I was saying earlier, I live at 12 Park Street. My wife walks to work every day there. I have one question for you, and again, I know the redevelopment plan had this in the last meeting, we talked about it. It's a roundabout, a circle, whatever you want to call it. Right now, there's a traffic light with pedestrian be able to walk away, pass either way. And again, we're talking about this is at the bus station. I see people every day. How is it on a circle, a roundabout, whatever it is, without lights, how do people cross the road on a circle? I don't understand it. And that was my question originally. in the plan, I never got an answer, and again today, I'm asking the same question. We're talking about a circle. How is it pedestrians able to pass a circle?
Okay.
Sure. Well, those are one of the things that's going to come out in the design. Multimodal is the new term, cars, bicycles, and pedestrians. All of those improvements, are going to be added to this project to the extent that are available. We only have a certain right-of-way width, but once the design starts to evolve, can we shrink the lanes and add a bike path? Or do we maybe go with cars but wider sidewalks? Those are all things that, to be honest, we don't have the answer yet. We haven't done the design, but we need to hire somebody to work on that. But when you have, one thing that immediately comes to mind is when you have what we call the pork chops, the little island before you kind of separates you. One of the trends they do is they'll put a safe haven there. You cross the on-ramp, you get to there, then you make the decision to cross the next one. So you can create these safe haven points throughout the project. Again, no different than crossing a 4-lane intersection. We don't want any accidents, but yeah.
I can't see how this is going to work. And that was one of my questions was, we had the surveys and the planning. Is the planning complete, and now we're having engineer this circle? Are we done with the planning?
Again, Mr. Chinkalian can best answer that.
Well, the county engineering department prepared what they called the concept development phase. There were 2 public hearings. I guess you were on those. And the synchro model, all of that is what culminated in this design, the concept of not doing a loop, not doing one way each way, which was the original design. It morphed into 2-way traffic both ways, a little more conventional, but with the roundabout. That was the recommendation of all the traffic engineers to solve all of those problems. Because, like I said, that intersection has an astronomically high crash rate, which we need to fix.
All
I just
right.
hope you vote no to an engineer and more to planning, that's all. Because right now, it does not sound good. I don't know how you feel.
Thank you. Okay, Council, your pleasure on item K.
Move item K.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Councilwoman Yurick,
Yes.
Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Councilman Lotano,
Yes, and Mr. Anderson, I think with this engineering, they're going to come across those issues and address them as part of this build grant here. So I vote yes.
Councilman Roderick,
No.
Councilman Turnbach,
Echo what Councilman Latano is saying. The engineering should bring all those things forward. I always appreciate Mr. Anderson and the concerns he brings, and we're to make sure we get answers to that, because obviously the safety of our residents is primary. So with that, we need to see the engineering plans. I'll vote yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Next are the bills.
Move the bill list.
And I'll second that.
Bills are moved by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Turnbach. Councilwoman Yurick,
Abstain from PO 21-03849, payable to Rutgers University. Yes to the balance.
Councilman Turnbach,
Thank you. I'll abstain from PO 21-03821, payable to magistrates. PO 21-00653, 21-02622, 21-03798, 21-03799, payable to law office of Siddle, Holzappel, and Zabarski. I'm a local attorney in town. I have conflicts with the magistrate and with Siddle, Holzappel. I'm also going to abstain from PO 21-03924. That's payable to Habitat for Humanity. I'm a trustee on Habitat for Humanity. Yes to the balance.
Councilman Kopp,
I abstain from the following bills. 21-03609, payable to Oceans Harbor House. 21-03378, 21-03802, 21-03803, 21-03804, payable to Owen and Little Associates, and Bill 21-04036, payable to Silverton First Aid. Yes to the balance.
Councilman Lotano,
So I have to abstain from 21-02872, 21-03601, and 21-039 36 payable to Holman Farina Allison PC. I have a conflict. Yes to the balance.
Councilman Roderick.
Abstaining to PO 21-00117, Direct Development. I don't have a conflict, but this is the second meeting in a row where Direct Development has billed the township $4,600, and I'm really not sure what they're doing for this money. I'd like a breakdown of these bills to see, what we're actually paying this Democratic PR firm to do for us. So I'm going to abstain. And yes to the balance.
Council President Gagan.
I just have one abstention to Silverton First Aid, 21-04036. Yes to the remaining.
Next, we have elected officials' comments.
Councilman Roderick?
Well, I also, before my comments, I had a quick question for Township Attorney Merlino. Are we allowed to make an appointment tonight? I know the council voted in favor of an MUA appointment. However, that was not advertised until 10 o'clock this morning, and the actual person who was being appointed wasn't advertised either. It's my understanding, at least I'm not an attorney, that we're supposed to give proper notice, and that the agenda is supposed to be finalized, and the public is supposed to be able to see what's on that agenda on Friday.
Council President, I can attest to the agenda being posted as of Monday, day before the meeting, which we always do.
Okay. Thank you.
My question, do you mind answering that?
Yeah, the meeting agenda was posted, but this meeting was advertised back in January as part of our annual notice, so there is no requirement that the agenda be pre-published.
No legal requirement?
No.
So it's just past practice, the Friday thing, and finalizing? Because I know we had like four different agendas.
Well, the township clerk said the agenda was posted on Monday, which was more than 24 hours before this meeting.
But the appointment, who was being appointed was not, so.
Well, no, because the nomination was offered from the floor. You'd have to debate it in public, which is what you did.
We've had history with that with Mark Dykoff in the past, where Mark Dykoff was added 3 hours before the council meeting, and I raised that issue, Councilman Roderick, but it wasn't an issue at that point in time because he was supported by the party politics and it went forward. So, again, we've had this issue we've raised before, and there's past precedent on it.
So it's legal?
Yes, because the nomination was not decided in secret. The nomination was decided in public.
Okay, all right, thank you. And the other item that I wanted to address was, it has been raised and brought to my attention by residents that there are a number of anti-gay posts that have been posted out on social media allegedly by a member of the Municipal Utilities Authority, a board member. And I would like to ask the council that we look into this. I saw them for myself. They're quite disturbing, calling gay folks sick bastards, not to use foul language. But I believe we need to investigate this, and I'm asking the council to do so. That's
Okay.
all I have this evening.
Very good. I'll assign Mr. Merlino to look into that. That's acceptable. Mr. Turnback, comments?
Thank you, Council President. I want to thank Gene Mickle of Asbury Park Press, who's here today, for running a story on Sam Green. And Sam Green is a student at Brookdale Community College who had to do a classroom assignment in the winter of this year at Brookdale. And he spoke about and decided to work on Ocean County's lack of a transitional housing center. And he made a decision at that point in time that at the end of the school year he was going to walk across the United States 3,000 miles to bring awareness to our lack of a transitional housing center here in Ocean County and to try and raise money. And he's a young man that has given a lot of us inspiration. And Gene, I appreciate you drawing attention to him. I think it's very honorable. He's got a dog that's named Taylor Ham. That is walking with him. Taylor Ham walks 1 to 2 miles a day. That might be pork roll. I don't know. I'm thinking the same thing. I'm having that battle in my head right now. But, right. But it's an honor to see what Sam Green is doing. Sam Green's not a resident of Ocean County. He just sees that we're in need of a transitional housing center and has really made a great choice to walk across this country to try and raise funds. So check him out. If you have the means, donate to Sam. He is trying to raise money. It's no secret that I'm an advocate for a transitional housing center here in Ocean County. And what I oftentimes find, and it's normal, we talk about this mainly in the winter, right, when it's cold, because we're concerned that when people are outside in the cold that they may die, right? But when I'm driving down Washington Street today and I see the guy I know sleeping in the woods next to Washington Street School, they're subject to similar elements in the summer with heat, and we should be working year-round at this. So, Sam Green, very proud of you. You're an inspiration to me. I would certainly love to join him at some point on his trek, and I'm certainly going to support him however I can to help raise this money. I would continue to urge our county commissioners to work alongside of us to try and get this done, and let's get it done this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Latano.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to address Councilman Roderick's letter that he read. It's not lost on the people who sit here or watch at home week after week that there's been other letters that have been tried to read up here from the dais that have been talked down repeatedly. I commend the rest of the people up here for letting Councilman Roderick finish the letter that he read. We took that letter seriously. I know Council President forwarded on, he said it already, but I'm going to repeat it. He forwarded it on to the prosecutor's office to have an outside authority look in to see if there was anything done inappropriately. So we took the steps to actually report the people that were in that letter to make sure nothing was done illegally. There's been a lot of conspiracy theories that have been thrown around up here, and we would like to put an end to that, and we'll have to be reporting them as they come in. Other than that, I want to, like always, bring attention to the bid and Maren, all the work she does downtown Toms River with the farmers market every Wednesday. It's been very successful this year, even though it's been quite a hot one out there. It's been pretty tough. There are downtown movies, cruising in the streets with the classic cars. There's a lot of things to do. Of course, downtown night out with dining, Exit 82 Theater Company with different shows. There's a lot of things to do. I encourage the residents of Toms River to not only support our downtown, but also support all of our local businesses and try to shop local. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilwoman Urick.
There's actually a couple of special events coming up. The first one is going to be downtown here, and it's the National Night Out. It's presented by the Toms River Police Department, and it will be next Tuesday evening, August 3rd. And this year is particularly exciting for me because they're also going to incorporate Toms River Around the World, which was a festival that we put together 2 years ago on Labor Day to just bring people from all different cultures and religions and ethnicities together for just a day of fun and celebration. And we really just had a great time, and it was really wonderful to see everybody together. So they're going to have that brought back as part of National Night Out this year. So downtown is going to be really crazy that night because it's going to be Washington Street and Huddy Park, and it's just going to be really busy. So I encourage everybody to come out Tuesday, August 3rd. And then also, Exit 82 is putting on their first live production post-COVID. It's going to be outside because we want to keep it safe. So they're going to be producing Hair starting this Thursday, and it runs for 2 weekends, and you can get tickets on their website. And it's in partnership with Save the Barnegat Bay, which is really great to see companies in town working together, promoting each other. And that is just a win for everyone. So that's it.
Thank you. Councilman Kopp.
Thank you, Council President. So I just want to make one comment. I just want to congratulate Mr. Brilliant on your appointment. You were very much well respected by almost all residents, I would say, Republican and Democrat in this town. And you're going to do a great job, and we really appreciate you stepping up to the plate and taking this appointment. And other than that, Council President, that's all I have tonight.
Thank you. I have no further comments. Mayor Hill.
Thank you, Council President. Just want to highlight the fact that since July 1st, we've stationed an EMS ambulance on the Barrier Island during the daytime hours. We're going to continue that through Labor Day, and then we will pull back to Pier 1 so that we can get over the bridge. But over the summer, with the bridge opening every half hour, we felt safety trumped everything, and even though there might be only 3% of the calls coming from the Barrier Island, you can't put a price on speed. I will tell you that the average response time is 5 minutes. Compare that to the national average, which runs between 14 and 16 minutes. So I think we've gotten a good response, and we're taking the safety of our Barrier Island residents very seriously. I've also directed the chief. He sent a letter to the Fire District 1 to discuss using per diem firefighters and EMS on the Barrier Island, which would provide both fire and EMS response times, which would be greatly decreased during the summertime. So we're looking at that, expanding that program to include fire and EMS. If we can have 4 people stationed over there, 2 EMS, 2 firefighters, we're going to be able to go with either fire response or EMS response. I'd also like to highlight our Code Enforcement Department. This is a report from July 9th to July 19th. They responded to 81 complaints that were received. They had 85 violations were issued, including 11 illegal pool rentals. This has been a problem for the last 2 or 3 years. There is a website called Swimbly, which has been highlighted, unfortunately, by the Wall Street Journal and Shark Tank, advertising people to do hourly rentals of personal pools, which makes no sense to me. If you have a homeowner's insurance, it's going to be voided if you have an accident. And I asked the county, and I asked our recreation director what the requirements are for a public pool, commercial pool. You have to have a certified pool operator. You have to have Red Cross trained lifeguards. And again, depending upon the size of the pool, you have to have a county license, and you have to do daily water quality tests. Now, I doubt that any of this is going to be done on a private pool. I think it's it's a safety issue, and it needs to be stopped. This internet, we've sent a number of registered letters to the internet company. They have not responded. I will tell you that our code enforcement also found, I think, 5 or 6 pools in Jackson. They forwarded that to the Jackson code enforcement. It's got to stop. It's crazy. They also did 65 CO rentals, 105 follow-up inspections, and also inspections on vacant properties. Lori also mentioned this Tuesday, August 3rd, is the Toms River Night Out in conjunction with TR United Around the World in Toms River. Food trucks and booths, going to be multicultural. Goes from 5 to 9, so come out and support that. Also, on Friday at noon, there's going to be a press conference. The governor's coming down for Toms River Field of Dreams. So I encourage anybody that can get out there at 12 noon to be there for that opening. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Okay, at this time, I'll open up the floor for public comment. Does any member of the public wish to be heard? Yes, sir. You in the white T-shirt. Yes. 5 minutes. You can speak about anything. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Michael DeSalvo, 3201 Equestrian Way.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your name, please?
Michael DeSalvo, 3201 Equestrian Way. I live in North Toms River in a community, and I'm a little concerned about the demolition of the area. It's kind of going to be the epicenter for the new downtown Lakewood. Right now, our planning board okayed 6-building office complex that intrudes into the community that I live in. And I hear about all of the concern for the residents, but I don't see it, okay? This is coming into a neighborhood of 6 office buildings, like not where it's not going to bother anybody, but it comes into a neighborhood where there's housing on the left, housing on the right, and housing in the back. This will be 100 feet away from my door. And I don't see any benefit to our community for this, in this area. It's block 135, lot 4. And it is by Whitesville Road and between Massachusetts. And right now, if any of you have ever been on Whitesville Road and 70 at any time of the day, it is horrendous. I can't even get out of my community anymore. So, or whoever zoned this for this building to be built, I don't understand. How do you zone a 6 office building, 4 3-story buildings, and 2 2-story buildings? Housing, it's enough parking for over 800 cars right in the community. So I don't understand what we're doing here, how we're allowing this, and how it's helping our community. I've lived here for 25 years. I pay my taxes. I'm a good person, no priors. So, you know, I just can't understand it. I have to live. I'm 67 years old. I can't afford to go anyplace else and, you know, around because of the taxes. I just received my senior tax freeze. Now I got to move because of this. So I'm just telling you what concern I have.
Okay, thank you. Any other member of the public?
Council President, maybe for Mr. DeSalvo could,
Yeah.
obviously, maybe we could have him speak to Mr. Amoruso about different planning board meetings he can attend to voice his concerns when those projects are being considered, because, right, I understand, but in other words, those decisions aren't made here at the council, right? Certainly, no, I just want to make sure you. Absolutely we want that, but I was just trying to have you be made aware of when those meetings are, so maybe you went and voiced your concern there as well, but.
That was like, it's a $50 million project, so I guess the guy who retired from the zoning thing, I guess.
I just wanted to make sure you were aware of those and aware that you had a right to appear and voice your concern there, that's all, and I appreciate your words to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. You in the green shirt, yes. If you would just state your name and address.
Yeah, Mark Orecchio, 3505 Churchill Drive. I wanted to ask a question about an ordinance that's on the books right now, Ordinance 295 for filming permits in town. Before I ask a question, let me just give you a little history of what my concerns are over the past year with this ordinance. We live in a neighborhood where they've been doing some filming. It's Real Housewives of New Jersey. And the neighbors are fine, no complaints. But what I have a complaint with is when I read the ordinance and when I see how it's being enforced, there's a disconnect. The filming in a residential area requires a permit, maximum of 3 vehicles, 14-day application prior to filming, notice and proof of notice required. I'm reading that right from your ordinance. So last August, 12 to 15 vans show up one week and do filming for 4 days right before Labor Day. I live on a cul-de-sac. I'm on the end of the cul-de-sac. It wasn't overly disruptive, but 12 to 15 vehicles triple parked in the cul-de-sac, no notice, not knowing it was happening, was a little concerning. So I did an Oprah request recently, and I got the permit application from last year. Got it right away, and I asked, well, where's the proof of notice? There wasn't any. So I asked at the clerk's office, where's the proof of notice? They said, well, the law department is the one who checks for proof of notice and makes sure everything's in order before we issue a permit. Walked over to the law department, they couldn't find it. They didn't have anything. So they said, basically, you know, we can't find it, we don't know what happened, filming was over, they're not coming back till next summer, we'll keep an eye on it. Here we are this summer. A few weeks ago, my wife sees on Instagram, because she's watching the show, and she checks on Instagram, hey, they're going to be filming in the neighborhood again. Okay. No notice, so I went down to the clerk's office again, and rather than do an Oprah request, I asked about it, and they were happy to give me the list of properties that the film company said they were notifying. So there was actually 3 locations in Toms River they were going to film, one of them being on my block. So I looked at the list, and first of all, I'm on the list, but the 2 houses actually directly next door to the house they're filming in aren't even on the list, and none of the people on the list got notified. So apparently, it's like an honor system. They told you they were going to notify, but they didn't. While I was in the clerk's office, I know they got some phone calls, and I heard some discussion that the filming company was saying, oh, we put the notices in the mailboxes, we knocked on the doors, all of which is illegal, obviously, and doesn't follow your ordinance. And I was told, well, if you have any problems, call the police. It was only a few vans, but I was concerned, again, because there was no notice. My wife called the cops. They came. They said, we can't do anything. They have a permit. So my question is, my problem really isn't with the filming company or my neighbors. They're fine. My problem's with the town. You have an ordinance, and it's not being enforced properly, and I don't know who to go to because I've asked the clerk's office, the law department, the cops, and now I'm here at the council, and I'd like to know, how do you enforce an ordinance that says you have to have notice to the neighbors, and they're not getting it, and yet they're getting a permit, and they're waving it around saying, I got my permit, I can film.
Right. Mr. Merlino is able to
I do
answer this
review those
question for you.
applications. If there was no proof of notice with this, that might be an oversight on my part. This is actually, we've issued a number of these film permits over the years since we've had the ordinance. This is actually the first time where the company has not complied with the notice requirement. So if you want to send your information to me, I'll take care of it, because if the proof of notice is not in there, we should reject the permit.
Okay, but the proof of notice needs to be written and like a
Well, no, I
registered...
have to have proof, so I want to see that they mailed the letters.
Okay, well, that's not happening, obviously.
Right,
It's
no,
2 years in a row it
okay.
hasn't happened, so I'm
No.
trying to find out what department, when the vans show up again next year,
Yeah.
who do I talk to?
Talk to me.
Okay.
Do it ahead of time.
Is there is your contact information on the website, or?
Yes, it is,
As the
yes.
borough attorney?
Yes.
Okay. And who reviews this? Who reviews?
It goes through several layers of review. It goes to PD review to make sure there's not going to be a traffic issue.
Right.
It goes to review for the clerk's office to make sure the requirements. Ultimately, it comes to me as well.
Okay, so does
Can-
the proof of
can
notice
he
have to
give
be like a
his
registered
name
mail?
and-
Like if I was going for a variance and I had to, notify everybody within 200 feet of me, and they have the little green things from the
That
post
was-
office? Is
well,
that
I don't know if
typically
the
how it's
ordinance
supposed to
specifically
be?
says that, but I can require that.
Okay.
That's right. And if we need to tighten something up, certainly we will.
I was just
Councilwoman
going to
Burek?
say if he could give his name and address to the clerk, who could
Yeah.
forward it to Mr. Merlino so that he has it, so that if
We can
that
follow up
company
ahead of time.
requests a permit again, he will be able to reach out to you.
Well, I've been down to the clerk's office a couple of times. They probably recognize me being down there. But do I
that's
give them,
okay.
do I
Your
put
your
a
name,
list together of
address,
everything?
email, phone number.
I'll give you the whole...
However, Mr.
you have it
Merlino
with
could
you, I'll
reach.
take it right
Well,
now.
I don't have, I just have some handwritten notes, but I'll write something up so that they have everything, including my name,
You know what?
address, and everything.
Just very simple, just email me. It's my first
Okay,
initial.
your email's
last
on the
name-
website?
Yes, first
on the
initial,
town
last
website?
name, @tomsrivertownship.com, and just, I'll take care of it.
Okay, and I just like to make note that if there's any more coming up before it could be somebody else's neighborhood, that they got to tighten up the way this is being done.
Sure.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to be heard? Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
CDC mandated masks or recommended masks in all public spaces as of this afternoon. Sorry to say. Yes. Recommended, not mandated, but recommended in areas with high transmission, and we are very high. Anyway, Paul Jeffrey, 1661 Bay Boulevard, Vice President, Ortley Beach Voters and Taxpayers Association. I just want to thank Maria Maruka, who's not here tonight, and Lou and the mayor and everyone else for the first reading of Ordinance 14, which is regard to the Surf Club property. It's been a long, long, long wait, and we're thrilled to see this, at least this first step, go forward. I have one question. That is, does this mean that everything is essentially done, and we are just in a waiting period for the second vote, or are there actually other negotiations that need to go on between now and the second vote?
There are other negotiations that have to go on, but that's going to deal with post-acquisition things. That'll be between the township and the state. The way I would describe it to you, I hate sports metaphors, but I think we've rounded second base on this one.
Okay. So we're not home
Not yet, no, but we should be by the end of the year. That's what we expect.
by the end of the year?
By the end of the year, yeah, we should be.
All right.
There's
well,
multiple pieces to this project. It's
Oh,
not
I
simple.
fully
It's
understand
not
that.
simple A and B.
Yeah, but we need to get it done.
We expect
The
that
sooner
to
the
get
better.
done, But
All right, so my other question was, I noticed that this says that the money is coming from the Open Space Fund. So my related question is, I think it was 1.8 something million that was, came to Toms River from Ocean County. Did all of that 1.8 or 1.9 million go into the Open Space Fund?
We have
and that's related to the open space question that's coming up. If all that money went to Open Space Fund, do we really need to increase the rate?
we have not closed on that transaction with the county yet, but the ordinance that approved that sale, all of those funds are supposed to be deposited in the Open Space Trust Fund. But that covers more than just the acquisition. Those funds will also assist us in doing what we need to do post-acquisition to improve the property.
Yeah, because it's a lot more than obviously
Yeah,
is needed
no,
for the
that
purchase.
fund encompasses more than
But
just the
but
acquisition.
those funds presumably, once they go to Open Space Fund, can be used for whatever purpose the Open Space Fund chooses to use them for. Is that correct?
These funds are earmarked mainly for the surf club.
Okay, that's useful to know. Okay, thank you, Anthony. Thank you, everybody, for working so hard on this. Let's get over that finish line.
We will. Thank you, Mr. Jeffries. Does any other member of the public wish to be heard? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jerry Ambrosio, and I live at 938 Millstone Court in Toms River. Okay, so tonight the council voted to effectively remove Commissioner Carmen Memoli, who has served on the Toms River Municipal Utility Authority for 10 years and is the board's current chairman. Mr. Memoli is being removed in retaliation for his refusal to join the Republicans for Toms River, a political club, which Mayor Hill, Council President Gagan, Council Vice President Maria Maruca, and Council members Latano and Kopp are members of. Since the foundation less than 1 year ago of the Republicans for Toms River, a political club, there has been constant intimidation and retaliation by its members, including the Township Attorney Gregory McGuckin and members of this governing body, against members of the pre-existing 36-year-old Toms River Regular Republican Club who refused to join this new organization. As the New Jersey law states, I believe it's Worker Freedom from Employer Intimidation Act, it is unlawful, meaning it is unacceptable. It is unlawful. It is against the law to threaten, to intimidate people because they exercise their right to choose whether or not they want to join a political organization. I am really glad to hear Council President Gagan say that he is taking this seriously and that he has sent the letter that was forwarded to him to the prosecutor's office so that this can be further investigated. And I look forward to being able to be a part of that investigation and to discuss matters with the prosecutor's office pertaining to this. Thank you all.
Thank you. Does any other member of the public have any comments? Yes, ma'am. Good evening. How are you?
Marianne Wallace, 2nd Avenue, Nortley Beach. I just want to also underscore what Paul said, that we're very, very grateful that the surf club deal seems to be moving forward. We are afraid to get excited about it, but we are really looking forward to having a celebration when this happens. I would advise you to get it done as soon as possible because you would want people to be there when we have the ribbon cutting. And if you wait till the end of the year or the winter, you're not going to get a large crowd there at all. I just urge you to finish this up, get it going. I get asked about it every day, and we're so close. We'd like to hear more details we've been told all along, don't ask too many questions. We don't want to upset the apple cart and all, and we've been very patient about this. But there are some details that we'd like to know, but most of all, we want to get it done. So thank you for moving it forward tonight, and we look forward to celebrating with all of you when we finally get the deal closed. Thank you.
Thank you. We are trying to keep it moving, that's for sure. Okay, does any other member of the public have any comments, wish to be heard? Okay, seeing none? I'll take a
Seeing
motion.
none, motion to move public comments?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to go into executive session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances to discuss matters requiring confidentiality and/or of a privileged nature, and whereas the Township Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Toms River in the County of Ocean and State of New Jersey as follows. The Township Council will now conduct a private executive session. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed and/or acted upon is as follows. Matters of personnel, attorney-client privilege, and contract negotiations. The following specific items to be discussed and/or acted upon are as follows. Executive session minutes review of July 13, 2021, personnel issues of both the clerk's office, and attorney-client privilege matters dealing with recreational cannabis legalization issues. It is anticipated that the deliberations conducted in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Council that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. Motion to adjourn made by Councilman Latano, second by Councilman Turnbach, with all in favor at 8:13 p.m.
I don't know who that is. Probably who it is. But again.
Do I have a motion to go back into executive session? Regular session. All in favor? And it is 8:50 on the dot. Okay, do I have a motion to adopt the executive session minutes of July 13, 2021? Okay, I'm going to call roll. Motion made by Councilman Turnbuck, seconded by Councilman Latano. Councilman Turnbuck?
Yes.
Councilman Latano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
Yes.
Council President, Council Vice President Gagan? Okay, and do we have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion made by, I can do an all in favor. All in favor? Aye. Excellent. Good night, everyone.